One thing I've been meaning to do over the past several weeks is to pen an a sort of a position statement on artificial intelligence. Like, how do I feel about it? What is my disposition toward it? And the question that keeps coming up is, well, what does it even mean? And so the answer to that, I think, is, of course, we've heard this before, that AI is a marketing term. And 1955, August 31st, is when McCarthy sort of first put the phrase to print. That would be John McCarthy, in the pitch to the Dartmouth meetup, summer thingy. And he said, the studies to proceed on the basis of the conjecture that every aspect of learning or any other feature of intelligence can in principle be so precisely described that a machine can be made to simulate it. Which is kind of interesting because, like, that is the kind of the opposite of what we think about AI too. It's just like we're not trying to describe anything in precisely. We're trying to say more like using imprecise language and then have it pick up the slack. So that's a kind of an interesting thing. And for the first several decades of artificial intelligence, it was deterministic. And I would actually put this on a deterministic branch, and then there's statistical. So that's like kind of, so when we think about like artificial intelligence, there's these two sort of strategies, right? So AI is it's not a thing, it's like more like a goal. And so we've got this like these two branches of AI, and this was sort of, where all the research was. So you've got like, I don't know, like decision trees. Yeah. Expert systems, they're kind of all like the same thing. Semantic nets. That's like knowledge graphs. And then here you've got perceptrons. And it turns out, now I don't know where this was sourced, so don't super take my word for it, but apparently like perceptrons, which is basically the sort of granddaddy of all machine learning, deep learning, whatever, any neural net stuff is a perceptron under the hood, or it's several actually. And but the sort of statistical approach was considered like no bueno, which is kind of interesting. But this is sort of like where all the state of the art was up until, I don't know, like the 2010s almost. Like it was sort of like through the AI winter and so on and so forth. And so like all of the sort of like any kind of ML stuff comes in the sort of bottom branch. But again, like these are like so you've got this sort of like core idea, or like AI is the goal. And then the question is like, how do you do it? And any kind of machine learning stuff where you've got, training data and you make a big fat matrix of numbers basically, and you plow training data through it, and then you can just turn it out on data, and it'll give you some kind of a determination at the cost basically of occasionally getting it wrong. And then it's the sort of, then you could sort of like see all the branching. So you've got like, I don't know, like diffusion. And then you got transformers. And then you got the generative stuff. So this kind of like fuses back together. Ugh. That is terrible, terrible writing. And sort of this is sort of what is considered AI, like this generative stuff, like the chatbots is sort of what is considered AI. Now, I actually find like this idea in general, like the machine learning stuff in general, is very, very compelling and interesting. It's also worth noting that I'm working up in here with knowledge graphs. Like that is what I do all day long. Here, I'll make this little whatever sticky outy, guys. Yeah, here, whatever. It's just not called AI anymore, right? It's just called knowledge graphs. It's just, and what I do is I do like a very like boring and pragmatic knowledge graph, like such that you just all it's doing is just putting showing you what you've already put into it, and so on and so forth. So I am kind of interested in using machine learning for sure to like populate these or to get information out of blobs of data and get them into these structures, because these structures are really just boring useful things that has everyday utility. This generative AI, I'm just not that interested in. And more to the point, it's the fact that these are, by and large, these are SaaS, right? They're software as a service. You can't. They're so expensive that you can't have your own. You can have your own one of these. You can have your own whatever, but you can't have your own that, because that's like $1 billion of infrastructure and training, and however many, how much power it takes up, and so on and so forth. Like, you need to concentrate the capital and the resources to get one of these things. And so the question is like, well, just how goddamn useful is it? And I'm watching people use these things all the time. They are they're getting some results with them, I guess, but like it's not clear to me that the SaaS relationship, the fact that you're going to have to hitch your wagon up to one of the vendors and rent an API endpoint, that not clear to me that like is the benefit that you get from these worth the relationship, this sort of like permanent umbilical relationship. The point is that is a question that you have to settle for yourself, whatever your application is. For me, I'm just like, like, I don't need help writing. I don't need help drawing. I don't need help brainstorming. I have plenty of ideas. Like, I see people saying like, oh, I help it. It can generate code. It can do things that I wouldn't have bothered to do. And it's like, okay, I guess. But it's like, again, like the problem with it is the fact that you can't trust it for anything load bearing. And it goes back to the fact that, the machine learning, its job is to turn a booba into a kiki at the possible expense of making the wrong choice about the kiki. Anyway, gonna finish my coffee.